America is officially out of the World Cup, and that leaves millions of Americans with a choice. You can stop watching the World Cup, or you can do what sports fans have been doing for generations. Find a team with believing in. Because if you choose the right team, you're not just rooting for great football, you're rooting for something bigger. A country that embodies many of the American values that we have admired for generations. Discipline, patriotism, resilience, and the underdog mentality. And after everything that I've seen during this entire World Cup, there is just one nation that stands above the rest. The World Cup isn't just about football. It's about a national identity, the culture. It's about watching countries compete while carrying the values that define who they are. And every once in a while, one team will come along that reminds you of why people fall in love with international sports in the first place. This year, I think that team is Norway. Because honestly, I think that Norway is the team that Americans should be rooting for now. And I think by the end of this video, you just might agree with me. Well, it's official. Team USA's World Cup run has officially come to an end. But that doesn't mean your World Cup has to end as well. Because one of the best parts about the World Cup is that even if your country gets knocked out, you get to adopt a whole other team, a whole nother country, and you get to enjoy the rest of the tournament rooting for somebody else. And if you're asking me which team my fellow Americans should get behind, I honestly think that there's only one answer that makes more sense than any others, and that's Norway. Now, before all my girlfriend's Brazilian friends come at me in the comments and everything like that, hear me out. I'm going to give you 8 reasons why us Americans should support the Norwegian national team. Reason number 1, Americans love an underdog. More than almost any other country on earth, Americans love underdog stories. It's woven into our history. This year, we're celebrating the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution. And the birth of our nation itself was one of the greatest underdog stories in history. 13 colonies stood up against what was arguably the most powerful empire on all of Earth, and that was the British Empire. And nobody thought we could win, yet somehow they did. The same spirit shows up throughout American culture time and time again. Like the Miracle on Ice in 1980, where a team of American college hockey players defeated what may have been considered the greatest hockey team ever assembled, the Soviet Union, which had won back-to-back Olympic championships. And it seemed like no team could defeat them, especially the United States, who was ranked pretty low at that time among hockey teams throughout the world. But it's one of the greatest moments in American sports history. Then there's Rocky. He's fictional, but he represents something very real. The guy nobody believes in. The person that refuses to quit. The fighter who keeps getting back up. Americans have always loved stories where someone exceeds expectations. Norway wasn't one of the favorites coming into this tournament. Now, they're writing one of the best stories of the entire World Cup, and that's exactly the kind of team Americans usually fall in love with. The second reason is a little deeper. Throughout history, every era has had its defining warrior culture. The Spartans, the samurai, the Mongols, the Vikings. And during the Viking Age, the Norse built one of the most feared warrior cultures the world had ever seen. Their reputation quickly spread across all of Europe and then into even other parts of the world. They were explorers, warriors, risk takers. And today, if there's one country/culture that's associated with being the dominant military power or dominant military culture in the modern world, it's the United States. And if there's one community that represents and emphasizes that warrior ethos and the most elite cultures throughout the world in history to its modern form, it's America's Special Operations Forces. From the Vikings to the American Special Operations, the Navy SEALs, the Green Berets, the Rangers, Delta Force, different centuries, different missions, different societies, but all built on many of the same ideals: discipline, courage, self-sacrifice, resilience, service, and even pride in their own country. Those are values that Americans can understand. Most people are one decision away from changing everything. I spent years at the tip of the spear as a Tier 1 operator. And the one thing that separated the men who made it from the ones who didn't had nothing to do with talent. It was fitness, and not just physical fitness. The discipline, the clarity, the mental edge that comes from being locked in physically. And that transfers to every single area of your life. For a limited time, I'm offering a 30-minute one-on-one fitness consultation and audit. We will get on a call and I'll break down exactly what you need to be doing going forward. And not a cookie cutter program, but a custom strategy built for you that you can implement immediately. 30 minutes, $49.99. And you will walk away with a plan from someone who has operated and lived this at the highest levels. If you are serious about leveling up, click the link. Reason number 3, there's some of the best people you'll ever meet. And I've actually been to Norway. Out of every country I've traveled to in Europe, I honestly think Norwegians are some of the friendliest people that I've ever met. Their English is incredible. Honestly, I don't think I've ever met another European country where so many people speak English so fluently. And honestly, with accents that I can't even understand. They're welcoming, they're humble, they're respectful. They're just genuinely good people. And I have yet to ever meet a Norwegian, which I didn't like. And I think all of America is really getting to experience the amazing culture and the character of Norwegian people. Everywhere they go, they honestly spread their awesome character and people just have an amazing time. And that which leads me to reason number 4, because the man that is championing this Norwegian men's national team is Erling Haaland. Because in my opinion, he's arguably the best striker in the world of football. And at the very least, he's always been part of the conversation. And what's amazing is that many of the players that he's competing against for the Golden Boot for this World Cup are significantly older than he is. Some are more than 10 years older than he is. But there's something I think America will appreciate even more. Haaland was born in England. He could have chosen to represent England internationally. And let's be honest, that would have been a much easier path because England definitely qualifies for the World Cup way more than Norway has. England has consistently qualified for major tournaments. Norway hasn't even reached a World Cup in 28 years. And if his goal was to simply play in World Cups, England would have given him a much easier road. Instead, he chose Norway. He chose his family. He chose his heritage. He chose the country he loves. That's patriotism over convenience. And I know that that's something that Americans respect. Loving your country isn't something you apologize for. It's something that you embrace. And then there's the way he plays. He's 6'5". Most people that size aren't known for scoring spectacular goals. Haaland somehow never seems to score a normal goal. Whether it's flying volleys, acrobatic finishes, ridiculous angles. He constantly scores goals that make absolutely no sense. And every match feels like you're waiting to see what impossible finish he'll pull off next. He's easily one of the most entertaining footballers in the entire world. And despite being a global superstar, he doesn't seem to take himself too seriously. He stays away from the drama. He jokes around, he smiles, he enjoys life. And he clearly works incredibly hard. But he also remembers that football is supposed to be fun. For he gets to play a sport for his profession, his day-to-day job. And that's another value that Americans appreciate. Work hard, compete hard, enjoy the journey. Strength isn't built in comfort. It's built through repetition, through discipline, through showing up when it would be easier not to. For me, training has always been about pushing limits, becoming stronger, faster, and more capable every single day. But the gear you wear matters. Barbell Apparel was built for athletes who move, who train, who refuse to compromise between performance and style. Clothes that move with you, built for strength, built for durability, and built for the grind. Whether it's the gym, the track, or the everyday mission, train hard, move freely, live disciplined. Barbell Apparel. Use code Stoic Viking 25 and step into the gear that's built for you, how you actually train. And I want to take it even further that he embodies another thing that I talk about on this channel all the time. And that's when it comes to special operations operators, people who are elite, athletes, musicians, people who are amazing at something that they do or something that they've done. And just because they're amazing at it doesn't mean that you should actually listen to them, that you should follow them. But what you always should do is follow people based on their character. And I think that if you watch any videos on Erling Haaland and how he treats the people he works with, the ball boys, fans, and how he interacts with anybody, you can instantly tell that not only does he not take himself too seriously, and he embodies those concepts that we talk about all the time on this channel, which is the silent professional, the man who walks softly but carries a big stick, or the quietest man in the room is the most dangerous man in the room. Time and time again, Erling Haaland shows his character, and he is one of the few people who is a superstar in this world who actually has amazing character that you probably probably should follow, and he's definitely somebody who embodies the most amazing characters that we looked for in human beings, and especially our World Cup superstars. And then this leads me into reason number 5 about a full circle story. And here's a really cool fact. The last time that Norway qualified for the World Cup was 28 years ago. Erling Haaland wasn't even born yet, but his father was on the Norwegian World Cup team, and he wasn't the only one because 2 other players on Norway's 2026 World Cup team also had fathers who played on that same Norwegian team that Erling's father did 28 years prior. Think about that. 3 fathers, now 3 sons. 28 years later, if that isn't a great World Cup story, I don't know what is. I spent years as a tier 1 operator with ISA, and I had the privilege to work with some of the best conditioned human beings on the planet. I know what peak performance looks like, and I also know what it looks like when someone's running on empty and they're telling themselves that it's just stress. If you're watching this and your energy is down, your recovery is shot, and you feel like you're operating at half capacity, your testosterone is probably the reason. I know it was for me, because it's not your mindset, it's not your discipline, it's your biology. Human performance is veteran-owned and operated by other tier 1 operators. They run blood work, they will build a protocol around you, and they actually know what they're doing because they've lived the same life as you. And I use them because I don't promote things I don't use. Because you're watching right now, you can get a discount of 20% off by using my discount code Viking. The link is below. Get the blood work done. If you're fine, then you'll know. If not, then you'll have a solution. Either way, you win. Discount code Viking. Do it today. And now that we've praised their players quite a bit, let's talk about reason number 6 and how their fans are awesome. And honestly, the 2 fan bases that have impressed me the most during this entire World Cup have probably been Scotland and Norway. Scotland's Tartan Army has always been legendary, but Norway has been incredible too. They've been loud, proud, respectful, and they've brought fun everywhere they've gone. One of my favorite moments was watching the Norwegian fans come across a yoga class in Times Square. Instead of interrupting it, instead of trolling people, they joined in, they laughed, they participated, and they somehow made the entire event even better. And that's exactly what international football should be about. And I'll be completely honest, this has been utterly intoxicating, which brings me to reason number 7, that America is already joining on the Norwegian bandwagon. And Americans aren't the only ones noticing. Even before Team USA was eliminated, you were already seeing celebrities and creators jumping in on the Norwegian bandwagon. People like I Showed Speed, Channing Tatum. Their excitement has been building throughout this entire tournament. And the final reason, which was just an awesome bonus, you don't even have to change colors because the Norwegian flag is already red, white, and blue. So you don't even have to go and buy new gear. You can just represent with the same colors that America has been sporting for 250 years. So yes, America may be out, but the World Cup isn't over. And if you're looking for a team to support a country with incredible people, an amazing history, and one of the most exciting players in all of football, an unbelievable fan base, a team built on resilience. So I'm calling for all my fellow Americans to get out there and join the Vikings, join the Norwegians, and do the row. And maybe, just maybe, Norway might be the next great underdog story. Hey Norge, skål.